2020 Voter's Guide for People with Disabilities. Disability Rights Vermont. In this guide, your voting rights, page 2. Registering to vote, page 3. When, where, and how to vote, page 6. Who or what can I vote on, page 11. Elected offices and candidates, page 12. Local offices, page 41. How can I learn more, page 44. Town, City Clerk listing, page 46. Voting worksheet, page 48. Voter's Guide for People with Disabilities. The Help America Vote Act, HAVA, of 2002 says that people with disabilities have a right to vote and to have certain accommodations made if a person requires them in order to be able to exercise their right to vote. Disability Rights Vermont, Inc., DRVT, is an agency that receives money from the U.S. Congress under HAVA to help make sure people with disabilities have equal access to the voting process. This guide is one project DRVT is doing to provide that help. In it, you will find information about your voting rights, how to register to vote, the different ways you can vote, and the offices to be elected in this year's November 3rd general election. Your vote is your voice. Voting is very important. It is a way for you to help choose the people that will run our government. Our government makes laws, decides how money gets spent, and much more. Who gets picked to run government makes a big difference for people with disabilities and their families. Important election dates. September 18th, 2020. Early and absentee ballot voting begins for the general election. November 2nd, last day to request an absentee ballot for the general election. Last day to vote at your town or city clerk office. Last day to return your absentee ballot to your town or city clerk's office. November 3rd, Election Day. General election and absentee ballots are due by the close of polls at 7 p.m. To contact us, call 1-800-834-7890 or 1-802-229-1355. On the web, www.disabilityrightsvt.org. Disability Rights Vermont, 141 Main Street, Suite 7, Montpelier, Vermont, 05602. This publication was made possible by a grant from the Administration for Community Living under the Help America Vote Act. The contents of this publication are the sole responsibility of the authors and do not represent the official views of the grantors. Disability Rights Vermont is the protection and advocacy system and mental health care ombudsman for Vermont. Your voting rights as a person with a disability. Who can vote? You can vote in Vermont elections if you are a U.S. citizen, are a Vermont resident, will be 18 years or older by the day of the election, register to vote, take the voter's oath. You will do this when you register to vote for the first time in Vermont. See page 4. If you are a U.S. citizen, 18 years old or older, and are registered to vote, you can vote in the U.S. elections even if you have a disability. Not only can you vote, it is important to vote so that you have a say in important programs that help people with disabilities. In Vermont, you have the right to vote, even if you have a guardian, even if you need help reading or filling out a ballot, even if you are homeless, even if you have been convicted of a crime or incarcerated, even if you are not able to vote in person on Election Day. If you need an accommodation, you have the right to request reasonable accommodations to vote. If you need accommodations to vote, you may contact your town city clerk to request accommodations. Bring a person of your choice into the voting booth with you for assistance, not your employer or union representative. Ask an election official for assistance with marking your ballot. Ask an election official to bring a ballot to your car at your polling place. This is called curbside voting. Request a sample ballot to see what you'll be voting on before election. Bring a magnifying glass or other device to help you see the ballot. Bring a list of candidates into the voting booth with you, but you must take it with you when you are done voting. Ask for another ballot, a maximum of 3, if you make a mistake. Use the accessible voting system at your polling place. See page 8. Use the accessible vote at home option. See page 9. Your voting rights as a person with a disability. If you experience problems with voting, you can contact Disability Rights Vermont 1-800-834-7890, Vermont Secretary of State's Office 1-800-439-8683, Vermont Center for Independent Living 1-800-639-1522, Green Mountain Self Advocates 1-800-564-9990. Registering to vote. In order to vote, you must first become a registered voter in the town or city where you live. Vermont now has same-day voter registration, so you may even register to vote at your polling place on Election Day. To register to vote, you must be a U.S. citizen, be a resident of Vermont, be 18 years of age or older, or will be 18 on or before the day of election, take or have previously taken the voter's oath, formerly called the Freeman's Oath. To register, you will need to complete the application for addition to the checklist, voter's registration form, and make sure it is returned to the town city clerk office in the town or city you live. In Vermont, you do not need to register under a specific political party when registering to vote. There are several places you can register. At your town city clerk's office, online at My Voter Page, https://mvp.vermont.gov. At the Department of Motor Vehicles, when you register your car or when you get or renew your driver's license or non-driver's identification card, at voter registration drives, at a state agency that provides public assistance when applying for benefits such as DCF's Economic Services Office. Call Disability Rights Vermont, your town or city clerk, or the Vermont Secretary of State's office if you have questions about registering to vote. If you are a person with a disability, Disability Rights Vermont can help you register to vote. Registering to vote. Voter's Oath. You solemnly swear or affirm that whenever you give your vote or suffrage touching any matter that concerns the state of Vermont, you will do it so as in your conscience you shall judge will most conduce to the best good of the same as established by the Constitution without fear or favor of any person. What the voter's oath means in plain English. You promise that when you vote, you will make your own choice without influence from another person. You won't let anyone tell you who to vote for. You promise that whenever you vote on anything to do with Vermont, you will choose what you honestly believe is best for the state. My Voter Page. The Vermont Secretary of State's office has created an online resource for voting, the My Voters page. This can be found online at https://mvp.vermont.gov. You may use this system to register to vote, check your voter registration status, request an absentee ballot, check your absentee ballot status, find out where your polling place is, see a sample ballot for the upcoming election, request an electronic ballot for the accessible vote at home option. See page 9. Registering to vote. My Voter Page, https://mvp.vermont.gov at the Secretary of State's website. Did you know Vermont and Maine are the only two states, along with District of Columbia, that allow currently incarcerated people with felonies to vote? So this means that as long as you meet all the other voter registration requirements, see page 3, even if you have any type of criminal record or are currently in prison, you can still vote. While incarcerated, in prison, you vote by absentee ballot, by mail. To vote while you are incarcerated, in order to vote, you need to be a registered voter, see page 3. You can register as a resident in the town or city where you lived just prior to being incarcerated. To vote while incarcerated, you need to request that an absentee ballot be sent to you at the mailing address of the prison you are in. If you need help finding out whether you are a registered voter, to become a registered voter while you are in prison, or to get an absentee ballot, you can put in a request to the volunteer coordinator at your facility. If you are a person with a disability, Disability Rights can help you with all of this. You can write to us at 141 Main Street, Suite 7, Montpelier, Vermont, 05602. If you want to vote while in prison, please make sure you request your absentee ballot and send your completed ballot back to your town or city clerk long before the November 3rd election day. When, where, and how to vote. When do I vote? For the 2020 general election, you must vote on or before November 3rd, 2020. Ballots will be made available at your town city clerk's office starting on September 18th, 2020. You may vote early, in person, at your town city clerk's office before the general election day, November 3, 2020. You may pick up an early voting ballot at your town city clerk's office, fill out and return your ballot to the city town clerk's office before election day. You may ask for an early absentee ballot to be mailed to you, see page 9, or if you are ill or have a disability, you can ask your town city clerk to have a ballot delivered to you by 2 justices of the peace. This service has to be requested before election day and may not be available throughout Vermont this year due to COVID-19. If voting by mail, complete your absentee ballot and mail it back to your town city clerk's office in time for it to be received no later than the day before the election by November 2nd, 2020, or you can drop it off at your polling place on election day, November 3rd, 2020. You may vote on election day at the polling place, either from your car or inside the polling place. To vote from your car, someone will need to go into the polling place and tell the polling official that you want to vote by car. On election day, the polls may open between 5 a.m. and 10 a.m. Each town, city makes its own decision. All polls close at the same time, 7 p.m. Where do I vote? To find out where your town or city's polling place is, call your town or city clerk. See page 46 and 47, or visit the Secretary of State's website, sos.vermont.gov. Log into My Voter page at mvp.vermont.gov or call 1-800-439-VOTE 8683. All the clerk's numbers are listed in this guide and on the Secretary of State's website. That website also has a listing of the polling places in all of Vermont's towns and cities. How do I vote? To vote in person at the polls voting area using a standard ballot, 1. Go into the polling place. 2. At the check-in table, give your name and, if asked, your residence. 3. You'll be given a ballot. 4. Take your ballot to a voting booth. 5. Mark your ballot according to the instructions. For example, mark an X in the box next to the name of the candidate you have chosen, or fill in the specified area. If you have questions, a poll worker can explain more. If you make a mistake, ask for another ballot, a limit of 3. 6. After you have finished marking your ballot, you will leave the voting booth with your ballot and proceed to the place you cast put it. Look for signs or ask a worker if it is not obvious where to go. 7. At the place you cast it, place the ballot as instructed by the worker. You may be told to put it in a ballot box or in an optical scanner tabulator machine. 8. Go to the checkout table if your voting place has one. 9. Give your name at the checkout table and you are finished. 10. Leave the voting area. How do I vote? To vote in person at the polls voting area using the accessible voting system. The Omni Ballot Tablet accessible voting system is a tablet-based ballot marking device for use by voters at their polling place. The accessible voting system, AVS, is available at all Vermont polling places for federal elections like the general election on November 3rd, 2020. It is a voting machine that provides assistive technology such as headphones and a screen reader, an 8-key navigation pad, toggle switches, and a touchscreen for you to choose from for accessibility. 1. Go into the polling place. 2. At the check-in table, give your name and, if asked, your residence. 3. Ask to use the accessible voting system, and the polling place official will guide you through the process. The accessible voting system gives Vermonters with disabilities the ability to mark and print their ballots independently and privately. Once you are done marking your ballot using this system, it will print your voted ballot for you to place where all other ballots go to be counted. If you have questions, ask an election official. How do I vote? Accessible vote at home. New for the 2020 general election, using the Omni Ballot online system, you can receive your ballot electronically if you are overseas, in the military, ill, injured, or have a disability. 1. Sign on to My Voter page at https://mvp.vermont.gov and choose Click here for online absentee ballot request and follow the instructions. 2. Use the on-screen ballot marking program to make your selections using your keyboard, mouse, or other assistive technology, and then review your selections on the review screen. 3. Print your completed ballot and certificate. Insert the ballot in a standard-size mailing envelope and seal it. Print, sign, and attach the certificate to the outside of that envelope using tape or glue. 4. Next, place that envelope in a new envelope and address it to your town or city clerk. You can mail the envelope or drop it off at your clerk's office before Election Day or hand-deliver to your polling place on Election Day. The Omni Ballot online system is compatible with Mac OS and Windows screen readers. Absentee voting, vote by mail. Absentee voting happens when you vote without being at your polling place on Election Day. This is also called vote by mail. For the first time ever, this year, the Vermont Secretary of State's office will automatically mail ballots to registered voters at their registered address for the November 3rd, 2020 general election. If you need to have your ballot sent to a different mailing address than the one you are registered at, contact your town or city clerk or use the online My Voter page to request that an absentee ballot be sent to the address you choose. People who want to vote by absentee ballot complete their ballot before Election Day and then send it back in the mail at least a week before the election to be counted. Absentee ballots can also be hand-delivered or dropped off to your town, city clerk's office up to the day before election or at your polling place on Election Day. You can also vote early in person at your town or city clerk's office up to 45 days before a primary or general election or up to 20 days before a local town or city election. Vote by mail, step by step. 1. Your ballot will come in this envelope. 2. Mark your ballot carefully following the directions at the top of the ballot. 3. Place your ballot in the voted ballot envelope and seal the envelope. 4. Fill out the back of the voted ballot envelope. The back of the voted ballot envelope looks like this. 5. Place sealed voted ballot envelope in the prepaid and pre-addressed envelope. Mail before October 26 or return to your town city clerk on or before Election Day. Don't forget to sign the back of the voted ballot envelope. Who or what can I vote on? Each election day, we vote on different candidates running for office and sometimes on local issues like your city or town's school budget. We vote for president, vice president every 4 years. The president is the leader of our government. The vice president is the person who takes over if the president can no longer do the job. The president and vice president are voted on together as a pair. See page 12. We vote for U.S. senators every 6 years. Senators are people who represent your state. Every state has 2 U.S. senators. Senators serve in the U.S. Senate. U.S. senators pass laws and vote on policies. See page 14. We vote for U.S. representatives every 2 years. These people serve in our U.S. House of Representatives. The number of U.S. representatives depends on how many people there are in your state. Vermont has 1 U.S. representative, while larger states get more. For example, California has 53 U.S. representatives. U.S. representatives serve on committees, hold hearings, and pass bills so they can become laws. See page 15. We also vote for people to lead our state and our towns or cities. These positions include governor, lieutenant governor, state senators, state representatives, and local officials. See page 21. Sometimes we are also asked to vote on specific issues like changes to existing law or policies, town, city budgets, and other local matters. Examples of issues that have been on the ballot in several states include the legalization of marijuana, minimum age, same-sex marriage, and the death penalty. Your vote has power. Every vote matters. Your vote is your voice as an American citizen. It's your opportunity to be heard, to hold elected officials accountable for their decisions, and to have a say in important issues that affect your community. On Election Day, every vote matters. Every vote counts. The following is a list of close election races in Vermont in recent history. In 1981, Bernie Sanders won Mayor of Burlington by 10 votes. In 2010, Sarah Buxton won by 1 vote against David Ainsworth for a Windsor Orange District House of Representatives seat. In 2016, the exact opposite happened. David Ainsworth won by 1 vote against Sarah Buxton for the same House of Representatives seat. Elected offices and the candidates. Following are descriptions of the positions to which we elect people. Under each national and state level description is a list of the people running for the office this year. U.S. President and Vice President. The President serves as the head of the government and works with their cabinet, which is made up of the Vice President and the people who are in charge of the 15 departments that make up our executive branch of government. The President chooses people to lead the departments that make decisions that affect our lives. For example, the Department of Defense has a lot to say about wars. The Department of Veterans Affairs has a lot to do with how veterans are treated. The Department of Education makes policies about how schools should be run. The Department of Health and Human Services directs many of the programs important to people with disabilities, such as Medicaid and Medicare. And the Department of Justice oversees all the laws of the country, including the Americans with Disabilities Act. The Vice President is elected with the President. We vote for both together. The Vice President is there to take over for the President should the President become unable to govern. Often the Vice President serves as an advisor to the President. The Vice President stands in for the President at the President's request. The Vice President also serves as the President of the U.S. Senate and casts the deciding vote if there is an equal number of senators voting for and against an issue. Elections for President and Vice President are held every 4 years. Did you know? When we vote for the President and Vice President, we are actually voting for people called electors, who have been chosen by our state's political parties to decide who will become the next President and Vice President. The electors make up what's called the Electoral College. The number of electors in each state depends upon its size. Vermont has 3 electors that vote for our next President, Vice President. Vermont electors are part of a multi-state agreement that have said they will vote for the President, Vice President who has received the most votes cast by citizens nationwide, the popular vote. So when you vote for President or Vice President, your vote becomes an important part of the national vote. Elected offices and their candidates. Write-in votes are allowed. You can write in the name of any person you wish to elect, not just vote for the names of those already printed on the ballot. There are 21 candidates for President and Vice President on Vermont's ballot in 2020. The reason there are so many is that Vermont Governor Phil Scott signed HB 681, which eliminated all candidate petitions during 2020 due to COVID-19. Without this bill, unqualified parties would have needed 1,000 signatures to place their presidential nominee on the November ballot. 2020 candidates for president. The listing of the 2020 candidates for U.S. President and Vice President was provided by the Vermont Secretary of State's office and was current at the time of publication. Office, candidate, alphabetical order, political party, U.S. President and Vice President, Don Blankenship, Bill Moore. Constitution, U.S. President and Vice President, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Democrat. U.S. President and Vice President, Brian Carroll, Amar Patel, American Solidarity. U.S. President and Vice President, Phil Collins, Billy Joe Parker, Prohibition. U.S. President and Vice President, Rocky De La Fuente, Darcy G. Richardson, Alliance. U.S. President and Vice President, Richard Duncan, Mitch Bupp, Independent. U.S. President and Vice President, Gary Swing, David Olzata, Boiling Frog. U.S. President and Vice President, Howie Hawkins, Angela Walker, Green. U.S. President and Vice President, Blake Huber, Frank Atwood, Approval Voting. U.S. President and Vice President, Joe Jorgensen, Jeremy Spike Cohen, Libertarian. U.S. President and Vice President, Allison Kennedy, Malcolm Jarrett, Socialist Workers. U.S. President and Vice President, Kyle Kenley Kopitke, and Tiha Ivano, Independent. U.S. President and Vice President, Christopher LaFontaine, and Michael Speed, Independent. U.S. President and Vice President, Gloria Lavira, Sunil Freeman, Liberty Union. U.S. President and Vice President, Keith McCormick, Sam Lisaic, Bull Moose. U.S. President and Vice President, H. Brooke Page, and Thomas James Whitman, Grumpy Old Patriots. U.S. President and Vice President, Brock Pierce, Carla Ballard, unaffiliated. U.S. President and Vice President, Zachary Scalf, Matthew Lydia, Independent. U.S. President and Vice President, Jeremy Segal, John DeGraff, Bread and Roses. U.S. President and Vice President, Donald J. Trump, Michael Pence, Republican. U.S. President and Vice President, Kanye West, Michelle Tidball, Independent. Elected offices and the candidates. U.S. Senate. Every state has 2 U.S. senators. Both senators represent citizens in their entire state. Each one serves for 6 years, and they are elected in different years, so there is only one senator up for election at a time. 1/3 of all U.S. senators will be elected this year, 1/3 in 2 years, and 1/3 in 4 years. This means that some years a particular state will not have any senators to elect. Senators serve on committees that discuss problems in smaller groups than the whole Senate. Many of the committees look at topics similar to those covered by the departments in the President's Cabinet. The committee members gather information about a problem by studying it, asking people to testify, give information, and answer questions before their committees. Solutions from the committee then may be considered by the full Senate. Because there are many opinions about how to solve problems, one of the main jobs of senators is to figure out how to work with many people with different opinions to come up with a solution upon which a majority can agree. Another job of senators is to help the people in their state when they ask for assistance with or information about the government. This work is called constituent services. You can find more information about the U.S. Senate on the web at http://www.senate.gov. Vermont does not have any open Senate seats in 2020. Current U.S. Senators from Vermont: Patrick Leahy, U.S. Senator from Vermont, Democratic Party, 199 Main Street, 4th floor, Burlington, Vermont, 05401. 802-863-2525, 1-800-642-3193, www.leahy.senate.gov. Bernie Sanders, U.S. Senator from Vermont, Independent Party, 1 Church Street, 3rd floor, Burlington, Vermont, 05401, 802-862-0697. 1-800-339-9834, www.sanders.senate.gov. Elected offices and the candidates. U.S. Representatives. Each state is given a certain number of U.S. representatives based on the number of people living in the state. On average, for every 700,000 people, there is a specific congressional district created, and the people within that district elect their own representative. In states with more than one district, a U.S. representative represents only his or her district, not the entire state. States that do not have that many people get fewer representatives in Congress. Some states with very few people get only one representative. Vermont is such a small state that we have only one U.S. representative. Representatives serve on committees and provide constituent services just as senators do. There is an election for U.S. representatives every 2 years. You can find more information about the U.S. House of Representatives on the web at http://www.house.gov. 2020 candidates for U.S. Representative. This listing for the 2020 candidates for the U.S. Representative from the state of Vermont was provided by the Vermont Secretary of State's office and was current at the time of this publication. Office, candidate, in alphabetical order, political party. Representative to Congress Peter R. Becker, Independent. Representative to Congress Miriam Barry, Republican. Representative to Congress Christopher Hilali, Communist. Representative to Congress Marcia Horn, Independent. Representative to Congress Sean Orr, Independent. Representative to Congress Jerry Trudell, Independent. Representative to Congress Peter Welch, Democrat. All U.S. Representatives to Congress candidates were invited to submit a candidate statement and picture for this publication. Those without statements associated with their candidacy did not respond. DRVT is not responsible for the content or accuracy of the candidate's statements. Elected offices and the candidates. 2020 candidates for U.S. Representative continued. Peter R. Becker for U.S. Representative to Congress, Independent Party, P.O. Box 395, Rutland, Vermont, 05702. BeckerForCongress2020.com. BeckerForCongress2020@gmail.com. 802-558-4260. The struggles and needs of my fellow Americans that are disabled is something I share with them every day. I am not disabled yet. However, my best friend in life is a person with physical disabilities and in constant pain from rheumatoid arthritis and Lyme disease. I help her each day to get around, lift things, get up off chairs and benches, go shopping, and get dressed. She gets disability income, but it's not much. I have 2 other close friends that are also disabled. Despite being disabled, all 3 of them still work at least part-time. The Americans with Disabilities Act and other laws were a godsend to the disabled, but there's more work that needs to be done. To me, mobility and accessibility are particularly important. You can't live the American dream if you can't get around easily and safely. As your congressman, I will do everything I can to ensure that all barriers are removed and all opportunities and supports are available to those with disabilities. Miriam Barry for U.S. Representative to Congress, Republican Party, 5 Gardenside Lane, Essex Junction, Vermont, 05452, barry2020.net, exodus15_21 at icloud.com, 802-598-9519. The granddaughter of a Vermont country doctor, Miriam has served the people of Vermont for over 25 years. She started as a nursing assistant and then obtained her LPN. While working full-time as an LPN, Miriam earned her RN. Today, Miriam Barry, RN, wants to be your representative to Congress. She brings the unique perspective of one who knows the hardship of making ends meet while supporting a family. She knows healthcare. She understands the needs of Vermont's aging population. And she is not a career politician. She is one of us. 2020 candidates for U.S. Representative continued. Christopher Halali for U.S. Representative to Congress, Communist Party, P.O. Box 114, Vershire, Vermont, 05079. ChristopherHalali.com. ChristopherHalali@gmail.com. 802-765-0088. The Party of Communist USA, PCUSA, is at the forefront of the struggles for workers, farmers, people of color, women, LGBTQ2S+, the disabled, and youth. We uncompromisingly place people and planet above profits. We demand abolish capitalism, seize the means of production, nationalize all major industries, end U.S. imperialism, abolish NATO, dismantle the military-industrial complex, no F-35s in Vermont, no new Cold War with China and Russia, free Palestine, end all sanctions, demilitarize and community control of the police, end the Patriot Act and surveillance state, and racism, women's rights, LGBTQ2S+ liberation, free, high-quality universal health care, education, and childcare, full support for disabled people, publicly controlled and open access vaccine technology, cancel all student loans and debt, union jobs for everyone, break up the monopolies and large agribusinesses, full state support for small and medium-sized farms, transition to fully supported, sustainable, regenerative, carbon sequestering, and organic farming. Elected officials and candidates, 2020 candidates for U.S. Representative continued. Christopher Halali for U.S. Representative continued. The climate emergency and nuclear weapons are the most existential issues facing humanity. To avert catastrophe, we need to transition from a war economy to a peaceful, socialist economy. We must build a society for the many, not the few. Down with capitalism, fascism, imperialism. Workers of the world, unite. Marsha Horn for U.S. Representative to Congress, Independent Party, 28 Pearl Street, 81, Berry City, Vermont, 05641. HornForCongress.com. info@hornforcongress.com. 802-622-8000. No statement provided. Sean Orr for U.S. Representative to Congress, Independent Party, 278 Lawrence Hill Road, Weston, Vermont, 05161. No website. SeanOrr@gmail.com. 802-345-1214. No statement provided. Jerry Trudell for U.S. Representative to Congress, Independent Party, P.O. Box 155, Heinsberg, Vermont, 05461, jerryforvermont.com, jerrypilot2000@yahoo.com, 802-274-7873. I am a senior citizen with disabilities and have a very good appreciation for being in the shoes of people with disabilities. I also have a background working with seniors with disabilities, before I became one, might I add. I am a candidate for U.S. Representative for Congress. I think we are the poorest rich country in the world. My point of view is that it is audaciously a big pile of malarkey when it comes to the notion of the bloated Pentagon budget having anything to do with the true defense needs of our country. I support any and all legislation that will help senior citizens out, those with and without disabilities. I have proposed specific policies and pilot programs such as free delivery services to seniors for groceries, prescriptions, transportation to doctor's appointments, to the post office, to the bank, etc., and would like to organize a senior citizens hotline that would be widely publicized in the news. No senior should have to go without. Peter Welch for U.S. Representative to Congress, Democratic Party, P.O. Box 1682, Burlington, Vermont, 05402, welchforcongress.com, info@welchforcongress.com, 802-264-9069. While we celebrate the 30th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act, we must continue to fight for a more inclusive and accessible society for everyone. You can count on me to continue that work every day in Congress. I am a proud co-sponsor of bills like H.R. 1814, ABLE, Age Adjustment Act, raising the age threshold for able accounts from 26 to 46. Meanwhile, our country is grappling with 3 concurrent crises: a global health pandemic, mass unemployment, and systemic racism. We need bold and thoughtful solutions for all 3. I have co-sponsored H.R. 6305, Coronavirus Relief for Seniors and People with Disabilities Act of 2020, to provide support for people with disabilities that have been impacted disproportionately by COVID-19. We need additional economic aid packages to help the millions of people who have lost their jobs, our small businesses, and the families who are food insecure. The House passed, with my strong support, the Justice and Policing Act to begin to address systemic racism in law enforcement. Finally, every American has a right to affordable health care. I am a co-sponsor of Medicare for All and believe we must address the skyrocketing costs of prescription drugs in this country. To do so, we must allow for the safe importation of prescription drugs from Canada, cut the cost of prescription drugs for seniors by using Medicare's purchasing power to demand a better deal from drug companies, and remove barriers to the development of low-cost generic drugs. If I am re-elected, I will continue to do all I can to fight to help make Vermonters' lives better. We can, and we will, make progress on these important issues working together. I would appreciate your support for my re-election to Congress. Elected offices and the candidates. The governor serves as the head of the state government, provides overall direction for the state government, and is responsible for the administration of all the state agencies. The governor appoints the heads of the agencies, who serve in the governor's cabinet. The governor sets a general tone about what is important in the government and proposes major legislation, including the overall budget. Legislation, bills, which pass both the Vermont House of Representatives and the Senate, must be signed by the governor to take effect, unless the governor vetoes or says no to the proposed law, and the House and Senate override the veto. In some cases, if the governor takes no action, a bill can become law also. Elections for governor are held every 2 years. You can find more information about Vermont state government on the web at http://www.vermont.gov. 2020 candidates for Vermont governor. This listing of the 2020 candidates for Vermont governor from the state of Vermont was provided by the Vermont Secretary of State's office and was current at the time of publication. Office, candidate, alphabetical order, and political party. Vermont governor, Wayne Bilodeau III, Independent. Vermont governor, Michael A. DeVost, Independent. Vermont governor, Charlie Dickerson, unaffiliated. Vermont governor, Kevin Hoyt, Independent. Vermont governor, Emily Payton, Truth Matters. Vermont governor, Phil Scott, Republican. Vermont governor, Erin Hazlett Whitney, Independent. Vermont governor, David Zuckerman, Progressive/Democrat. All Vermont gubernatorial candidates were invited to submit a candidate statement and picture for this publication. Those without statements associated with their candidacy did not respond. DRVT is not responsible for the content or accuracy of the candidate's statements. Elected offices and the candidates. 2020 candidates for Vermont governor. Wayne Bilodeau III for Vermont governor, Independent Party, 164 Pearl Street, St. Albans City, Vermont, 05478. No website. w.bilodeau3@gmail.com. 802-363-1642. No statement provided. Michael A. DeVost for Vermont governor, Independent Party, P.O. Box 108, Barton, Vermont, 05822. No website. madman802@hotmail.com. 802-673-7790. First, I would like to say thank you to everyone involved in allowing me to write to you. My name is Michael A. DeVost, and I'm running for governor of Vermont as an independent. I've always lived in Vermont my whole life. I live in an area of Vermont where most people have either forgotten or don't tend to know where it is. I love to help people as much as I can. I do not know much what the issues are for the Vermonters with disabilities. However, I would like to sit down with someone and discuss the issues at hand so I can help fix them. I feel that all Vermonters, no matter if they have a disability or not, are very important, not only in life, but for Vermont as well, because every Vermonter is important to Vermont, I feel. It would be my honor if I got voted in to help in any way I can. I believe it is time to have a leader that for once wants to lead for the people of Vermont. Thank you again for this opportunity, and to all the readers, I hope everyone has a wonderful day today. Charlie Dickerson for Vermont governor, unaffiliated, P.O. Box 1241, Montpelier, Vermont, 05601. No website. charlie.dickerson@comcast.net, 802-371-8577. No statement provided. Elected offices and the candidates. 2020 candidates for Vermont governor. Kevin Hoyt for Vermont governor, Independent Party, 26 West Road, Bennington, Vermont, 05201. No website. khoytcandidate@yahoo.com, 802-375-3469. No statement provided. Emily Payton for Vermont governor, Truth Matters Party, P.O. Box 821, Putney, Vermont, 05346, www.emilypayton.com, emilypayton2012@gmail.com, 802-579-5524. I've just spent the past few weeks campaigning with the company of one woman, Jenny, in her 50s, who had the cord wrapped around her neck at birth and is impaired, and another, Jen, in her 30s, who suffered vaccine harm. They both seemed to be between 5 and 7 years old. We traveled around Vermont in an RV for their respite vacation, and I enjoyed especially the way they encouraged me to lighten up. With them, I could dance in line for hot dogs. With them, I could sing Kumbaya and Michael row your boat ashore with vigor. With them, taking a ride on the town bus was big excitement. With them, I could enjoy the small things in life. As governor, I hope to provide an atmosphere of love and trust. for our disabled members of Vermont, our treasures, and their light is so important to share. I'd like to see Vermonters include people with life challenges and have more chances to enjoy their unique personalities rather than treat them as burdens in any way, shape, or form. I want to see disabled people and their helpers define the help they need and tell me how best to deliver it. Elected officials and the candidates, 2020 candidates for Vermont Governor. Phil Scott for Vermont Governor, Republican Party, P.O. Box 988, Montpelier, Vermont, 05601. www.philscott.org. phil@philscott.org. 802-522-8194. I will always support the rights of all people to live with dignity and independence. My father fought in World War II and lost both of his legs in combat. I lost him when I was 11 years old. I don't remember him as a man with a disability. I remember him for all the things he did for my family, how involved he was in our lives, and how he never let anything stand in his way. As chair of Senate institutions, I increased appropriations for ADA improvements to historic buildings and community gathering spaces, as well as transitional, affordable housing for persons with disabilities. As governor, my administration continues to support disability services and accommodations. In 2017, the Agency of Transportation was recognized with a Spirit of the ADA Award for its success in recruitment, hiring, and retention of individuals with disabilities, as well as on-the-job accommodations and accessible building and equipment. This work will always be a priority for me and my team. Erin Hazlitt Whitney for Vermont Governor, Independent Party, 1116 Old West Road, Arlington, Vermont, 05250, www.whitney-2020.com, governorwhitney@gmail.com, 802-681-3625. I know you're so much more than disabled because I am too. Our disabilities come from different causes and look different. Genetics, accidents, assaults, illnesses, and more. Looking at me, you probably won't see my disability, which makes me different than some of you. But no matter how we become labeled disabled, I believe we are strong, capable, resilient, and good humans deserving of equality and justice. I am running for governor to solve complex sexual assault and equality issues in the National Guard. Only I have the experience to correct. 12 years into my military career, and despite superior, above-standard performance, I can no longer be a soldier after being attacked by other soldiers in the National Guard and from my physical deterioration. I want to be your governor because I love problem-solving, serving Vermont, and freedom. People will say my disabilities could stop me from accomplishing my goal of bringing justice to victims of military sexual trauma, but I believe my disabilities are the reason I feel empowered to win. Vote for me this year. Then in 2 years, you should run for office. The definition of disabled doesn't stop us from leading with integrity and purpose. Vote. David Zuckerman for Vermont Governor, Progressive Democratic Party. P.O. Box 9354, South Burlington, 05407, www.zuckermanforvt.com, info@zuckermanforvt.com, 802-448-5715. Many people with disabilities face discrimination and barriers that restrict them from participating in society on an equal basis. As governor, I will prioritize legislation that incorporates equality. Working together with stakeholders and advocates, we will provide incentives and support to Vermont businesses to hire people with disabilities and ensure that schools are providing education that meets each child's needs, especially as the pandemic continues. As governor, I will also expand public transportation options so those who are disabled do not become isolated. Vermonters with disabilities deserve the same quality of life that all Vermonters deserve. I understand that the path toward our collective goal is filled with both large policy steps and small personal ones as well. That is why I have Braille on my business cards, and I have consistently made my office in the Capitol building available to those who need it when visiting Vermont and advocating for their rights and the rights of Vermonters across the state. I am ready to bring my experience, leadership, and facilitation skills both inside and outside the State House to Montpelier to help implement proactive, progressive solutions and build an inclusive, sustainable, vibrant Vermont future. But I can't do this without you. Please visit my website, zuckermanforvt.com, to get involved. Thank you. Elected offices and the candidates. Vermont Lieutenant Governor. The Lieutenant Governor remains ready to take over for the Governor if the Governor becomes unable to continue in office. For example, if the Governor dies or resigns, the Lieutenant Governor stands in for the Governor at the Governor's request. Just as the Vice President is the President of the U.S. Senate, the Lieutenant Governor is President of the Vermont Senate. In Vermont, the Lieutenant Governor is elected independent of the Governor. Elections for Lieutenant Governor are held every 2 years. You can find more information about Vermont Lieutenant Governor on the web at http://www.ltgov.vermont.gov. This listing of the 2020 candidates for the Vermont Lieutenant Governor from the state of Vermont was provided by the Vermont Secretary of State's office and was current at the time of this publication. Office, candidate, alphabetical order, and political party. Vermont Lieutenant Governor Wayne Bilodeau III, Independent. Vermont Lieutenant Governor Ralph Corbo, banished the F-35s. Vermont Lieutenant Governor Chris Erickson, Progressive. Vermont Lieutenant Governor Molly Gray, Democrat. Vermont Lieutenant Governor Scott Milne, Republican. All lieutenant gubernatorial candidates are invited to submit a candidate statement and picture for this publication. Those without statements associated with their candidacy did not respond. DRVT is not responsible for the content or accuracy of the candidate statement. 2020 candidates for Vermont Lieutenant Governor. Wayne Bilodeau III for Vermont Lieutenant Governor, Independent Party, 164 Pearl Street, St. Albans City, Vermont, 05478. No website. w.bilodeau3@gmail.com. 802-363-1642. No statement provided. Ralph Carbo for Vermont Lieutenant Governor, banished the F-35s party. P.O. Box 426, Wallingford, Vermont, 05733. No website. BLOWSAGNSTHEMPIR@vermontel.net. 802-282-1029. No statement provided. Chris Erickson for Vermont Lieutenant Governor, Progressive Party, 879 Church Street, Chester, Vermont, 05143. www.politics2020.org. Chris Erickson at aceweb.com. 802-875-4038. Hello. This year, with so many people out of work, I decided to focus on trying to get elected to jobs where I can help with the financial situation. Please visit my website, http://politics2020.org. I'm on the 2020 ballot as a Progressive Party candidate. The Progressive Party has abused me verbally and tried to intimidate me into not running. I am 68 years old, a woman, and I will not let those younger men get away with it. Hear me roar. Chris Erickson at aceweb.com. Molly Gray for Vermont Lieutenant Governor, Democratic Party, P.O. Box 8295, Burlington, Vermont, 05402. www.mollyforvermont.com. info@mollyforvermont.com. 802-922-2366. I was born and raised on a farm in Newberry, Vermont. I am a proud product of Vermont's education system and a graduate of the University of Vermont and Vermont Law School. I spent much of my career promoting human rights. Today, I serve as an Assistant Attorney General. I am running for Lieutenant Governor to create a future where rural communities thrive, families are supported, and the land and environment are protected for future generations. I am committed to building a more inclusive, resilient, and equitable Vermont. Addressing equity begins with recognizing the diverse needs of Vermonters, particularly those with disabilities. I have long believed that the United States should commit to ratifying the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. For now, Vermont can show leadership by fully complying with the Americans with Disability Act and other civil rights laws. As Lieutenant Governor, I will work to ensure that Vermonters with disabilities have full access to safe and affordable housing, employment, health care, transportation, and education. Furthermore, I will work to ensure individuals with disabilities are able to live with dignity and that those who violate civil rights are held accountable. Scott Milne for Vermont Lieutenant Governor, Republican Party, P.O. Box 3, North Pomfret, Vermont 05053, www.scottmilne.org, info@scottmilne.org, 202-525-9835. Scott Milne is running for Lieutenant Governor to help move Vermont through economic recovery toward a more prosperous future. Scott is president of Milne Travel, a family-owned travel management company. During his decades leading the company, Milne Travel has grown into one of America's most recognized travel businesses, with 6 community-based offices in 4 states. As someone whose business has been profoundly affected by coronavirus, he knows how difficult this time has been for Vermonters whose lives and livelihoods have been upended. Scott grew up in Vermont with his parents, Don and Marion, and 3 siblings, first in Barry and then in Washington, helping on the family's former sheep farm. Marion later founded Milne Travel as a one-person business. Scott's parents both served as state representatives, and he learned from them values of public service and honest government. Scott's eager to put his hard-earned experience as a Vermont business owner who understands the challenge of creating good jobs to work for Vermonters. He strongly supports Governor Phil Scott's leadership to make Vermont more affordable and keep us healthy and safe. Now more than ever, Governor Scott needs an experienced partner working to build a stronger, more inclusive Vermont with opportunities for all. Elected offices and the candidates. Vermont State Treasurer. The State Treasurer is responsible for handling the state's money. The State Treasurer fulfills this responsibility through 5 divisions: financial operations, retirement operations, investment services, audit compliance, and technology services. State law says that the Treasurer's office is responsible for 4 areas: managing the state's checking accounts, investing state money, and borrowing money for the state, keeping unclaimed property for return to its rightful owner, and taking care of the retirement money for several groups of government workers. Elections for state treasurer are held every 2 years. You can find more information about the Treasurer's Office on the web at http://www.vermonttreasurer.gov. 2020 candidates for Vermont State Treasurer. This listing of the 2020 candidates for Vermont State Treasurer from the state of Vermont was provided by the Vermont Secretary of State's office and was current at this time of publication. Office, candidate, alphabetical order, and political party. Vermont State Treasurer, Carolyn Whitney Rannigan, Republican. Vermont State Treasurer, Chris Erickson, Progressive. Vermont State Treasurer, Beth Pierce, Democrat. Vermont State Treasurer, Alex Wright, Independent. All Vermont State Treasurer candidates were invited to submit a candidate statement and picture for this publication. Those without statements associated with their candidacy did not respond. DRVT is not responsible for the content or accuracy of the candidate statements. Elected offices and the candidates. 2020 candidates for Vermont State Treasurer. Carolyn Whitney Rannigan for Vermont State Treasurer, Republican Party, 1295 Ballard Road, Georgia, Vermont 05478, www.carolynbranigan.com, cbranigan@comcast.net, 802-923-5973. I am running for the office of Vermont State Treasurer. The office of State Treasurer needs to be open and accessible to all Vermonters, including those with disabilities. Therefore, when elected, if I discover that the office is not already compliant with accessibility regulations, I will make sure it becomes compliant. Hiring practices need to be conducted in a manner open to all applicants. The Treasurer's office needs to hire the most qualified people possible, drawing on the skills of all applicants, including those with a disability. An employee with a disability serving in the Treasurer's office under my leadership would be welcomed and respected like all other employees. Chris Erickson for Vermont State Treasurer, Progressive Party, 879 Church Street, Chester, Vermont 05143, www.politics2020.org, Chris Erickson at aceweb.com, 802-875-4038. Hello! This year, with so many people out of work, I decided to focus on trying to get elected to jobs where I can help with the financial situations. Please visit my website, http://politics2020.org. I am on the 2020 ballot as a Progressive Party candidate. The Progressive Party has abused me verbally and tried to intimidate me into not running. I am 68 years old, a woman, and will not let those younger men get away with it. Hear me roar. Chris Erickson at aceweb.com. Elected officials and the candidates. 2020 candidates for Vermont State Treasurer. Beth Pierce for Vermont State Treasurer, Democratic Party. P.O. Box 731, Montpelier, Vermont 05601, www.bethpierce.com, bethpiercevermont@gmail.com, 802-498-3130. As Treasurer, I have a responsibility to over 55,000 active, vested, and retired members of public retirement systems. Currently, 610 people with disabilities are receiving retirement benefits. I am committed to working with these individuals to ensure they take full advantage of their benefits. The Treasurer's Office currently offers financial literacy programs to provide Vermonters of all ages the knowledge and skills necessary to successfully manage their money. Working with AARP and legislative leaders, Vermont became the first in the nation to enact a law protecting consumers from predatory practices in pension lending. I have worked with stakeholders, advocates, and legislators to implement Achieving a Better Life Experience, or ABLE accounts. This initiative empowers individuals with disabilities and their families to invest in tax-free savings accounts for the purpose of maintaining health and independence. In addition to existing structural and systemic barriers, issues of race and gender provide further obstacles to individuals with disabilities. When talking about improving the lives of individuals who experience disabilities, issues concerning racism and sexism should not be forgotten. I am committed to ensuring that all Vermonters have an opportunity for a lifetime of financial well-being as I ask for your support. Alex Wright for Vermont State Treasurer, Independent Party, 8 Fuller Place, 104, Essex, Vermont, 05452. No website, alexmjw@gmail.com, 802-370-7246. No statement provided. Elected offices and the candidates, Vermont Secretary of State. The Secretary of State is responsible for 4 main areas: archives, or the historical files of the state; corporations, that is, making sure all the companies doing business in the state are registered so they can be held responsible for what they do here; elections, or making sure that all the voting in this state is done correctly; professional regulation, or the licensing, certification, registration, and disciplinary action of 40 professions, including psychologists, clinical social workers, nurses, and nursing home administrators. Elections for Vermont Secretary of State are held every 2 years. You can find more information about the Secretary of State's office on the web at https://sos.vermont.gov. 2020 candidates for the Vermont Secretary of State. This listing of the 2020 candidates for the Vermont Secretary of State from the state of Vermont was provided by the Vermont Secretary of State's office and was current at the time of this publication. Office, candidate, alphabetical order, political party. Secretary of State, Jim Condos, Democrat. Secretary of State, Chris Erickson, Progressive. Secretary of State, H. Brooke Page, Republican. Secretary of State, Pamela Smith, Independent. All Secretary of State candidates were invited to submit a candidate statement and picture for this publication. Those without statements associated with their candidacy did not respond. DRVT is not responsible for the content or accuracy of the candidate statements. Elected offices and the candidates. 2020 candidates for Vermont Secretary of State. Jim Condos for Vermont Secretary of State, Democratic Party, 84 Chestnut Hill, Montpelier, Vermont, 05602, www.jimcondos.com, jcondos@aol.com, 802-238-3809. As a former Vermont State Senator and South Burlington City Councilor, I have always supported efforts to improve the quality of life and accessibility for the physically impaired. As Vermont's Secretary of State for the last 10 years, I have worked to ensure that all eligible Vermonters are able to participate in our democracy, including providing people with disabilities an ability to participate in our elections. Every eligible voter should have the opportunity to cast their constitutionally protected vote without impediments or obstructions. My office previously provided grants to municipalities to help make their voting locations more accessible. In 2018, we implemented a new state-of-the-art accessible voting system, AVS. DRVT and the Association for the Visually Impaired assisted with developing the RFP and eventual selection of our new system. AVS allows a physically impaired person to vote independently and privately, at the poll, or even from home. However, despite AVS, we must continue to work with Vermont's communities to ensure they comply with the constitutional right for any person with disabilities to access the polling place. People with physical challenges must be provided with every opportunity to voice their opinion through our democratic election process. I will continue to work with the advocates to find more and better ways. Elected offices and the candidates, 2020 candidates for Vermont Secretary of State. Chris Erickson for Vermont Secretary of State, Progressive Party. 879 Church Street, Chester, Vermont, 05143. www.politics2020.org. Chris Erickson at aceweb.com. 802-875-4038. Hello. This year, with so many people out of work, I decided to focus on trying to get elected to jobs where I can help with the financial situations. Please visit my website, http://politics2020.org. I am on the 2020 ballot as a Progressive Party candidate. The Progressive Party has abused me verbally and tried to intimidate me into not running. I am 68 years old, a woman, and will not let those younger men get away with it. Hear me roar. Chris Erickson at aceweb.com. H. Brooke Page for Vermont Secretary of State, Republican Party, P.O. Box 41, Washington, Vermont, 05675. www.brookepage.us. Donna P. at solver.net. 802-883-2320. No statement provided. Pamela Smith for Vermont Secretary of State, Independent Party, 31 Diamond Street, Apartment 2, St. Albans, Vermont, 05478. www.whatsthenarrative.com. Pamela Smith at whatsthenarrative.com. 802-393-3413. My name is Pamela Smith, and I am running as an independent candidate for Secretary of State. In this election, I am prioritizing the citizens and primarily their needs in the realm of voting and as customers of professional service providers. The initiatives that I am proposing, which I introduce below, will not be considered ready for implementation until they have considered input by interested parties and until they have resolved any access issues for people with disabilities. Additionally, refinement of the processes should be expected. I would like to include a function in the voting process where voters can confirm that their votes were counted just as they intended. This is expected to increase participation and diversity in the voting process as a result of increased confidence. I would also like to use internet technology to allow customers to write and read reviews of area professional service providers. Finally, I would like to make publicly available anonymized complaints filed by citizens against professional service providers, even if the complaints are denied. This will give customers greater insight and lead to greater accountability within the industries and in the professional regulation department. Voting and customer assurance are important. Vermont Auditor of Accounts. The Auditor of Accounts is responsible for protecting against governmental waste and preventing inappropriate use of the state government's money. The people who work in the auditor's office do audits, looking at the record keeping for money matters, and reviews to accomplish their goals. They review the state's financial statements and check all the federal money that goes through our state government. The Auditor of Accounts may also audit or review special areas of concern about how our money is spent. In the past, the auditor has done special reviews of the Vermont Veterans Home, the Department of Corrections, and other agencies that receive federal and state funding. The public may suggest areas to investigate and has access to the reports issued by the auditor. Elections for Vermont Auditor of Accounts are held every 2 years. You can find more information about the Auditor of Accounts office on the web at http://auditor.vermont.gov. 2020 candidates for Vermont Auditor of Accounts. This listing of the 2020 candidates for Vermont Auditor of Accounts from the state of Vermont was provided by the Vermont Secretary of State's office and was current at the time of this publication. Elected offices and the candidates. 2020 candidates for Vermont Auditor of Accounts. Office, candidate, alphabetical order, and political party. Auditor of Accounts, Chris Erickson, Progressive. Auditor of Accounts, Doug Hoffer, Democrat, Republican. Chris Erickson for Vermont Auditor of Accounts, Progressive Party. 879 Church Street, Chester, Vermont, 05143. www.politics2020.org. Chris Erickson at aceweb.com. 802-875-4038. Hello. This year, with so many people out of work, I decided to focus on trying to get elected to jobs where I can help with the financial situations. Please visit my website, http://politics2020.org. I am on the 2020 ballot as a Progressive Party candidate. The Progressive Party has abused me verbally and tried to intimidate me into not running. I am 68 years old, a woman, and will not let those younger men get away with it. Hear me roar. Chris Erickson at aceweb.com. Doug Hoffer for Vermont Auditor of Accounts, Democratic Republican Party. 161 Austin Drive, number 71, Burlington, Vermont, 05401. www.hofferforauditor.com. drhoffer@comcast.net. 802-864-5711. All Vermonters must have the resources necessary to participate in civil life and to live fulfilling lives. As state auditor, I make every effort to see that state and federal funds are used effectively to help achieve that goal. The state auditor is not a policymaker, although he or she can add value to the process. The core function of the office is to follow the money, which is critical to ensuring that waste, fraud, and abuse don't claim funds intended for program beneficiaries. In addition, the Auditor's Office conducts performance audits of state programs, including compliance with state and federal statutes and consideration of legislative intent. Elected offices and the candidates. Vermont Attorney General. The Attorney General is the chief law enforcement officer of the state. The Attorney General represents the state in all civil and criminal cases where the state is involved or has an interest. There are 5 divisions within the office of the Attorney General: criminal, public protection, civil law, human services, general counsel, administrative laws. The Attorney General's office represents the state's view in many matters of importance to the disability community, including mental health care and use of involuntary psychiatric treatment in designated hospitals and mental health centers. Elections for the Attorney General are held every 2 years. You can find more information about the Attorney General's office on the web at https://ago.vermont.gov. 2020 candidates for Vermont Attorney General. This listing of the 2020 candidates for Vermont Attorney General from the state of Vermont was provided by the Vermont Secretary of State's office and was current at the time of this publication. Office, candidate in alphabetical order, and political party. Attorney General J Donovan, Democrat. Attorney General Chris Erickson, Progressive. Attorney General H. Brooke Page, Republican. All Vermont Attorney General candidates were invited to submit a candidate statement and picture for this publication. Those without statements associated with their candidacy did not respond. DRVT is not responsible for the content or accuracy of the candidate statements. Elected offices and the candidates. 2020 candidates for Vermont Attorney General. J Donovan for Vermont Attorney General, Democratic Party. P.O. Box 1662, Burlington, Vermont 05402. www.donovanforvermont.com. info@donovanforvermont.com. 802-324-3708. Thomas J. Donovan Jr., TJ, was elected Attorney General of the state of Vermont on November 8, 2016. He is the 26th Attorney General of Vermont. TJ was born and raised in Burlington, Vermont. TJ worked as a criminal defense attorney and civil litigation lawyer before he was elected Chittenden County State's Attorney in 2006. TJ served as State's Attorney for 10 years. As Attorney General, TJ is working to make Vermont communities healthier, safer, and more prosperous. He is committed to providing greater access to justice through criminal justice reform, supporting businesses and protecting consumers, fighting to end the opiate epidemic, and hold corporations accountable for their role in this public health crisis. On a national level and at home, TJ is a strong defender of the environment and fierce advocate for the civil rights of all Vermonters. Chris Erickson for Vermont Attorney General, Progressive Party, 879 Church Street, Chester, Vermont 05143. www.politics2020.org. Chris Erickson at aceweb.com. 802-875-4038. Hello. This year, with so many people out of work, I decided to focus on trying to get elected to jobs where I can help with the financial situations. Please visit my website, http://politics2020.org. I am on the 2020 ballot as a Progressive Party candidate. The Progressive Party has abused me verbally and tried to intimidate me into not running. I am 68-year-old, a woman, and I will not let these younger men get away with it. Hear me roar. Chris Erickson at aceweb.com. H. Brooke Page for Vermont Attorney General, Republican Party, P.O. Box 41, Washington, Vermont 05675, www.brookepage.us, Donna P. at solver.net, 802-883-2320. No statement provided. Things to remember. You may bring a reminder sheet of who you want to vote for. You may bring a magnifying glass to help you read the ballot. If you have a disability or need help with the ballot, you may bring someone to assist you as long as it is not your employer or a union representative. Don't leave anything in the voting booth when you are done voting. You may not discuss or promote candidates inside the polling place. If you experience problems, ask an election official to help you. Call the Secretary of State's office toll-free at 1-800-439-VOTE 8683. Call Disability Rights Vermont toll-free at 1-800-834-7890. It is illegal to knowingly vote more than once, either in the same town or in different towns. Try to tell another person how to vote once you're inside the building where voting is taking place. Mislead the Board of Civil Authority about your own or another person's eligibility to vote. Show your marked ballot to others in order to let them know how you voted. Make a mark on your ballot that would identify it as yours. Local elected offices. State Senator. State senators are one of the two parts of the legislative branch of state government. Senators review the needs of our state, have meetings in committees, and propose bills that will respond to the concerns they have reviewed. Just as the federal government has senators for each state, the state government has senators for each county. There is one senator for approximately every 20,750 citizens. Senators are elected by county, so counties that have more than 20,750 people get more than one senator. There are 30 senators in the Vermont Senate. State senators are elected every 2 years. In order to keep the populations of Senate districts within the number of people they are supposed to represent, a town from one county may be taken out of one county and included in the district of another county. For example, the Windham County Senatorial District does not include Wilmington, which is part of the county, and Wilmington is included in the Bennington County District, and Colchester, which is part of Chittenden County, is in the Grand Isle County Senatorial District. Also, a very small county is combined with a larger one to make one district, as is the case in Essex and Orleans counties. State Representative. State representatives are one of the two parts of the legislative branch of state government. Representatives act like federal representatives in that they review needs of our state, have meetings and committees, and propose bills that will respond to the concerns they have reviewed. State representatives provide constituent services for state government concerns. Just as the federal government has representatives for each national district, the state government has representatives for each state district. Each state district representative represents approximately 4,150 citizens. There are 150 representatives in the Vermont House of Representatives. State representatives are elected every 2 years. Probate Court Judge. Probate court judges have several areas of responsibility. They handle the probate of wills, proving the will is real, the settlement of estates, adoptions, guardianships, name changes, and uniform gifts to minors. There is no requirement that the judges of probate be attorneys. Probate court judges are elected every 4 years in non-presidential election years. Assistant judges. Assistant judges, often called side judges, administer the county budget. The county budget includes parts of the cost of the probate court and the sheriff's department. The assistant judges also serve in the superior court. Their job there is to give their opinion on factual matters to the presiding judge on cases. In some counties, they may hear certain cases on their own. With additional training, they may also preside in traffic court. Assistant judges are elected every 4 years in non-presidential election years. County State's Attorney. The county state's attorney is the chief law enforcement officer for each county. The state's attorney office is responsible for prosecuting all criminal, child protection, and fish and game charges within their county. The state's attorney does not have to be an attorney, although they will have to hire attorneys to do the work of the state's attorney office in the courts. The state's attorney is elected every 4 years in non-presidential election years. County Sheriff. The sheriff has several law enforcement responsibilities. They are an officer of the courts. delivers writs and summons official papers telling people certain legal things, keeps order in the court, and carries out the court's orders, including transporting prisoners to and from court appearances. Vermont County Sheriff's Departments also perform other duties that they are allowed but not required to do. These include contracting with various towns or villages, special events, and road construction projects to provide traffic control and policing services. The sheriff is elected every 4 years in non-presidential election years. High Bailiff. The High Bailiff's duty is to arrest the sheriff if it should ever become necessary, and to serve as sheriff while the sheriff is incarcerated. The High Bailiff does not have to be a law enforcement officer to be elected. High Bailiffs are elected every 2 years. Justices of the Peace. Justices of the Peace have some mandatory and some voluntary duties. The justices must serve on the Board of Civil Authority, BCA, and the Town Board of Abatement of Taxes. Members of the BCA serve as election officials and deliver absentee ballots to voters at election time. BCA members also hear and decide appeals of the decisions of listers. The Town Board for the Abatement of Taxes decides whether a taxpayer's tax obligation should be forgiven in certain circumstances. Justices of the Peace may join people in marriage, notarize documents, administer oaths, and when commissioned by the state Supreme Court, serve as magistrates. Justices of the Peace are elected every 2 years. Justices of the Peace are also able to hand-deliver ballots to people who are ill or have a disability and cannot vote in person on Election Day. They will bring you a ballot, allow you time to complete it, and then deliver it back to your town city clerk to be counted. This service must be requested by contacting your town city clerk's office before Election Day and may not be available in some towns or cities this year due to COVID-19 related voting changes. Some election words and phrases. Here are just a few terms and phrases you may hear or read when deciding who to vote for or where and how to vote. Absentee ballot. Used to vote early instead of at the polling place on Election Day. Amendment, a change to a law, piece of legislation, or an article added to the U.S. Constitution. Ballot, a paper, card, or electronic program used to cast your vote. Bias, prejudice in favor or against one thing, person, or group. Bipartisan, supported by both political parties. Conservative, someone preferring traditional values and views frequently associated with the Republican Party. Constituent, a person represented by an elected official. Delegate, one sent to act as a representative of a group. Democracy, a government in which the people decide who is in power. Electoral college, electors established by the Constitution for the sole purpose of electing the president. Lame duck, an elected official still in office who has not been elected for another term. Incumbent, someone currently in office. Liberal, someone preferring change and social programs frequently associated with the Democratic Party. Nonpartisan, not biased or showing preference to one political party over another. Platform, plans and principles of a political party. Poll, the place where votes are cast or a survey of the public. Primary, an election for choosing who will be on the ballot in the final election. Universal vote by mail. All active registered voters get a ballot mailed to them automatically. How can I learn more? You can learn more about candidates and issues in many ways. Newspapers, TV news, and social media. Not everything you read or see is true. There are websites that try to help voters decide whether a statement or story is true. Examples of these websites are factcheck.org, politifact.com, snopes.com. Political candidates often schedule debates. A debate is a place where politicians can let voters know what they will do if elected. Political candidates take turns answering questions. The U.S. presidential debates are scheduled for September 29, 2020, October 15, 2020, and October 22, 2020. The U.S. vice presidential debate is scheduled for October 7, 2020. Reach out to organizations in your community and people that you trust. Ask questions about issues that are important to you. Sometimes people will have a different opinion than you do, and that is okay. Nobody should tell you how to vote. Your vote is your voice, and every vote matters. Get involved with community organizations that serve people with disabilities like ARC, Green Mountain South Advocates, and the Vermont Center for Independent Living. You can ask to volunteer with these organizations and help people vote. Voting in 2020, COVID-19 concerns. If you don't want to go into the polls on Election Day, remember that there are many different and accessible ways you can vote in Vermont. Early voting. Early voting starts on September 18th, 2020. Absentee ballot. You can request your ballot online through My Voter page, see page 4. You can use the accessible Vote at Home option, OmniBallot online, see page 9. You can return your ballot in person at the town city clerk's office any day before Election Day. You can mail your ballot into your town or city clerk's office. It must be received by November 2nd, 2020, the day before the election, see page 9. Election Day, November 3rd, 2020. You may vote on Election Day at the polling place from your car. To vote from your car, someone will need to go into the polling place and tell the polling official that you want to vote from your car. Your choice, your power, your vote. Are you registered to vote? Call and verify with your town or city clerk. Addison, 759-2020. Albany, 755-6100. Alberg, 796-3468. Andover, 875-2765. Arlington, 375-2332. Athens, 869-3370. Bakersfield, 827-4495. Baltimore, 263-5274. Barnard, 234-9211. Barnett, 633-2256. Berry City, 476-0242. Berry Town, 479-9391. Barton, 525-6222. Belvedere, 644-6621. Bennington, 442-1043. Benson, 437-2611. Berkshire, 933-2335. Berlin, 229-9298. Bethel, 234-9722. Bloomfield, 962-5191. Moulton, 434-5075. Bradford, 222-4727. Braintree, 728-9787. Brandon, 247-3635. Brattleboro, 251-8157. Bridgewater, 672-3334. Bridport, 758-2483. Brighton, 723-4405. Bristol, 453-2410. Brookfield, 276-3352. Brookline, 365-4648. Brownington, 754-8401. Brunswick, 962-5514. Burke, 467-3717. Burlington, 865-7000. Cabot, 563-2279. Calais, 456-8720. Cambridge, 644-2251. Canaan, 266-3370. Castleton, 468-5319. Cavendish, 226-7292. Charleston, 895-2814. Charlotte, 425-3071. Chelsea, 685-4460. Chester, 875-2173. Chittenden, 483-6647. Clarendon, 775-4274. Colchester 264-5520, Concord 695-2220, Corinth 439-5850, Cornwall 462-2775, Coventry 754-2288, Craftsbury 586-2823, Danby 293-5136, Danville 684-3352, Derby 766-4906, Dorset 362-1178, Dover 464-5100, Dummerston 257-1496, Duxbury 244-6660, East Haven 467-3772, East Montpelier 223-3313, Eden 635-2528, Elmore 888-2637, Edisburg 933-4421, Essex 879-0413, Fairhaven 265-3610, Fairfax 849-6111, Fairfield 827-3261, Fairleigh 333-4363, Fayston 496-2454, Ferrisburg 877-3429, Fletcher 849-6616, Franklin 285-2101, Georgia 524-3524, Glover 525-6227, Goshen 247-6455, Grafton 843-2419, Granby 328-3611, Grand Isle 372-8830, Granville 767-4403, Greensboro 533-2911, Groton 584-3276, Guildhall 676-3797, Guilford 254-6857, Halifax 368-7390, Hancock 767-3660, Hardwick 472-5971, Hartford 295-2785, Heartland 436-2444, Highgate 868-5002, Heinsberg 482-2281, Holland 895-4440, Hubbardton 273-2951, Huntington 434-2032, Hyde Park 888-2300, Ira 235-2745, Irisburg 754-2242, Isla Motte 928-3434, Jamaica 874-4681, J 988-2996, Jericho 899-4936, Johnson 635-2611, Killington 422-3243, Kirby 626-9386, Landgrove 824-3716, Leicester 247-5961, Leamington 277-4814, Lincoln 453-2980, Londonderry 824-3356, Lowell 744-6559, Ludlow 228-3232, Lunenburg 892-5959, Linden 626-5785, Maidstone 676-3210, Manchester 362-1313, Marlborough 254-2181, Marshfield 426-3305, Mendon 775-1662, Middlebury 388-8100, Middlesex 223-5915, Middletown 235-2220, Milton 893-4111, Moncton 453-3800, Montgomery 326-4719, Montpelier 223-9500, Moortown 882-8218, Morgan 895-2927, Morristown 888-6370, Mount Holly 259-2391, Mount Tabor 293-5282, New Haven 453-3516, Newark 467-3336, Newbury 866-5521, Newfane 365-7772, Newport City 334-2112, Newport Town 334-6442, North Hero 372-6926, Northfield 485-5421, Norton 822-9935, Norwich 649-1419, Orange 479-2673, Orwell 948-2032, Panton 475-2333, Hallett 325-3309, Peacham 592-3218, Peru 824-3065, Pittsfield 746-8170, Pittsford 483-6500, Plainfield 454-8461, Plymouth 672-3655, Pomfret 457-3861, Poultney 287-5761, Pownell 823-7757, Proctor 459-3333, Putney 387-5862, Randolph 728-5433, Reading 484-7250, Reedsboro 423-5405, Richford 848-7751, Richmond 434-2221, Ripton 388-2266, Rochester 767-3631, Rockingham 463-4336, Roxbury 485-7840, Royalton 763-7207, Rupert 394-7728, Rutland City 773-1800, Rutland Town 773-2528, Reigate 584-3880, St. Albans City 524-1500, St. Albans Town 524-2415, St. George 482-5272, St. Johnsbury 748-4311, Salisbury 352-4228, Sandgate 375-9075, Searsburg 464-8081, Shaftesbury 442-4038, Sharon 463-8268, Sheffield 626-8862, Shelburne 985-5116, Sheldon 933-2524, Shoreham 897-5841, Shrewsbury 492-3511, South Burlington 846-4105, South Hero 372-5552, Springfield 885-2104, Stamford 694-1361, Standard 533-2577, Starksboro 453-2639, Stockbridge 746-8400, Stowe 253-6133, Stratford 765-4411, Stratton 896-6184, Sudbury 623-7296, Sunderland 375-6106, Sutton 467-3377, Swanton 868-4421, Thetford 785-2922, Teignmouth 446-2498, Topson 439-5505, Townsend 365-7300, Troy 988-2663, Tunbridge 889-5521, Underhill 899-4434, Virgins 877-2841, Vernon 257-0292, Vershire 685-2227, Victory 328-2400, Waitsfield 496-2218, Walden 563-2220, Wallingford 446-2336, Waltham 877-3641, Wardsboro 896-6055, Warren 496-2709, Washington 883-2218, Waterbury 244-8447, Waterford 748-2122, Waterville 644-8865, Wethersfield 674-9500, Wells 645-0486, West Fairleigh 333-9696, West Haven 265-4880, West Rutland 438-2204, West Windsor 484-7212, Westfield 744-2484, Westford 878-4587, Westminster 722-4091, Westmore 525-3007, Weston 824-6645, Weybridge 545-2450, Wheelock 626-9094, Whiting 623-7813, Whitingham 368-7887, Williamstown 433-5455, Williston 878-5121, Wilmington 464-5836, Windham 874-4211, Windsor 674-5610, Winhall 297-2122, Winooski 655-6419, Wolcott 888-2746, Woodbury 456-7051, Woodford 442-4895, Woodstock 457-3611, Worcester 223-6942. Voting worksheet. U.S. President, Vice President, U.S. Senator from Vermont. Vermont does not have any open Senate seats in 2020. U.S. Representative to Congress from Vermont. Vermont Governor. Vermont Lieutenant Governor. Vermont Treasurer. Vermont Secretary of State. Vermont Auditor of Accounts. Vermont Attorney General. State Senators. Number varies by district. State Representatives. Number varies by district. Probate Judge. Assistant Judge. State's Attorney. County Sheriff. High Bailiff. Justice of the Peace.